Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Before we start, I just want everyone to know a really terrible accident happened outside a little while ago. That's all we really know right now, but I just want everyone to take a moment, maybe say a little prayer. Thank you. We're going to have Clerk Jones come out and kick us off, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. If you would be so kind at this point, would you turn your cell phones off? I hate to start with a negative. That's two negatives, right? Or your electronic device. Thank you. The next thing I'd like to do is ask the Newburyport Police Honor Guard to please post their colors. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge some of our current and former elected officials who are with us today. I have a long list. We're blessed. Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, thank you so much for coming. Normally I'd say hold the applause, but let it rip. It's like Katie Moorfield, Regional Director for U.S. Senator Markey's office. Thank you for being here. Katie Bovio, District Director and Legislative Advisor at the Office of Congressman Seth Moulton. That's quite a title. Governor's Counsel for District 5, Eileen R. Duff. State Auditor, Diana DeZoglio. Thank you. State Senator Bruce Tarr. I think I can get away with saying this. I don't know if people know he was recently named the Legislator of the Year for 2023. Why did it take so long? That's my own. State Rep Don Shan. Thank you. Essex County District Attorney Paul F. Tucker. Sheriff Kevin F. Coppinger. Former Sheriff Frank G. Cousins, Jr. Northern Essex Community College President Lane A. Glenn. Thank you. This is in no particular order, by the way. Amesbury Mayor Cassandra Gove. I'd be insincere if I said sorry about that Thanksgiving Day game, but I'm sorry about that. That was a low shot. I know that one. Former Mayor Donna D. Holliday. And last but certainly not least, Superintendent of Schools Sean Gallagher. We have the following city councilors present: Councilor Cameron, Councilor Donahue, Councilor Granis, Councilor Harmon, Councilor Kahn, Councilor Lane, Councilor McCauley, Councilor Preston, Councilor Shan, Councilor Wright is away, and Councilor Zeed. Thank you all for coming. I work for them. I should have put them way first. And the following school committee members: Andrew Boger, Brian Callahan, Sarah Hall, Brianna Higgins, Sean Reardon, wearing another hat, Kathleen Shaw, and Juliet Walker. Thank you for coming. Today, the 69th mayor of the city of Newburyport will give his State of the City address. The program has essentially four parts. First, we're honored to have Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, who will say some words to us. Then Council President Edward Cameron will do likewise. Then the mayor will deliver his State of the City address. And lastly, the mayor will present the second annual Public and Community Service Awards. Joyous occasion. Now, if you'd be so kind to stand and remain standing for the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the opening prayer. I'm pleased to introduce Newburyport High School student Evan Legou. Evan has recently been named to the Massachusetts Music Educators Association All-State Jazz Band and Chorus. Congratulations on that, Evan, and Evan will now sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, early we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Evan. I'm sure I speak for everyone. That was marvelous. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now be led in that by and Ollie Reardon. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have the opening prayer on your agenda. However, the Rabbi, Alex Matthews, has come down with COVID, so he is not here. Did you want to say anything? Would you like me? Why don't we just do, in light of the situation, have a moment of silence and keep the victim in your hearts, please. Thank you so much. At this point, I'm pleased to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll. Kim, you can't come up yet. I need to say something. No, you cannot. I really, as my wife said, I need to grow up. I really do. I'm pleased to introduce, as I said, our Lieutenant Governor, who hails from Salem, Mass., that other historic town on the North Shore. She's currently the 73rd Lieutenant Governor and previously served as the 50th Mayor of Salem. According to my quick research, you've always been extremely popular at the polls, so something's going right. We're honored to have you with us this evening, and the podium is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be with you. tough start to the night for sure, but this is what communities do really well. They come together when times are down, and they come together to support each other. So I know we're going to have an outstanding opportunity to hear more from the mayor on what's happening in this community in a good way and setting a vision and crafting going forward. I'm excited to be here to share in the success of the community of Newburyport. I certainly have an affinity for historic coastal communities, as you can imagine. And I think many of you know Governor Healy has family that live in and around Newburyport, so we keep tabs on the place. We know what's happening here. And I'd say we really try and strive to have a strong working relationship with all of our 351 cities and towns, but in particular with Newburyport because of the affinity of folks who are living here, because it's a familiar place, and because frankly we have a mayor who's terrific to work with, who digs in on challenges, who works every single day, brings both his heart and his whole self to trying to make improvements in strengthening this community, and we see that. You know, both the governor and I feel very strongly that we want to not only have strong partnerships with communities, but work in service to communities. When you're at the state level of government, particularly from the perch that I've had as a mayor, you realize what happens on the ground in communities really matter. Like, just look at how many folks came out on a rainy evening to support and celebrate members of this community, to recognize local elected officials who give their whole heart and soul to what's happening here. And if you care about where you live, if you love the community you live in, like, there's no better job than serving in local government, be that as mayor, as a counselor, as a school committee member, as a board or commission member. Like, you can really have an influence on what's happening here just by caring and coming together. I know firsthand the commitment that takes, and I just want to take my hat off and say thank you for stepping up. If everybody takes their turn at leadership, it makes our community, our state, our country a better place, and you are examples of that, so thank you. I also know that the work is hard, right? Being in local government, I always say the branch of local government we rely on the most in our everyday lives, the things that matter to you most, educating your kids, keeping your neighborhood safe, investing in places you make memories, whether it's a favorite beach or a park or a downtown square, driving a local economy. That all happens locally. That's local government doing that job. And our job, again, at the state level is to make sure we're here to support that work at the local level. Creating opportunities for investments, making sure we're setting policies at the state level that help achieve the vision that you have here for your community. And I just want to say our budget reflects those values. The budget that was filed just a few short weeks ago by our administration includes historic levels of funding for local government, the highest level ever for student aid in Chapter 70 and what we call other general government aid, recognizing it's tougher to balance budgets even at the local level. We've worked hard to ensure that we're also creating tools for municipalities for our municipal empowerment bill aimed at making the work at the local government easier. Topics that aren't super sexy, procurement, amortization schedules, but giving you the tools that you need to the work that happens every single day to happen easier, and also creating pathways for new revenues, because it's a little tougher sometimes to make the sorts of investments you need to, particularly in our old historic communities. I always thought it was great to be the mayor of an old historic community until you open the ground and see old water pipes and old infrastructure. It's a little bit more expensive. We have a historic opportunity with federal funding. We want to make it as easy as possible for communities to participate. So we've got a federal funds office that's providing matching resources, technical assistance. We want to leverage every single tool we can to make sure communities have what they need to grow and be successful. And one of our biggest challenges collectively, not just in any individual community, is housing. We know that housing is unaffordable for many of the people we rely on every single day in our lives. All those workers that come in public buildings, frankly, anyone who hands you anything over a counter, we need them living in our community. It might be somebody taking care of a young person in your life or an older adult, and too often those folks can't afford to live in our communities. So we're investing big on housing, the largest housing bond build in the state's history, and because housing is not built by the state, and isn't something the state controls, housing is built locally in communities like Newburyport and many, many others designed to meet the needs of the people who live here. We want to make sure you have the tools to build the type of housing you need and have development by choice, not by chance. It's our mantra to make sure we're providing tools necessary for the growth of this community. And the last piece I'll say is no one is going to outrun the climate crisis. Our coastal communities are on the front lines. We know that firsthand here in Newburyport and so many other places. We are the first state to have a climate chief at the cabinet level that is digging down. This is not something we can kick the can down the road on. We have got to make investments in climate. Again, that's happening at the local level. What can we do to assist our coastal communities in meeting those historic demands that we have? Those are opportunities we see to put our values and our beliefs tied to making sure our communities are strong and healthy and vibrant and growing. Well, it starts with having statewide policies and budgets that reflect those values. And I share this knowing that all of you are here, and all of our elected officials who are here, both those who are from Newburyport, those that represent Newburyport. We have a shared vision for a strong future for Newburyport, and we just want to make sure you have the tools to achieve that. So when you're a mayor and you're in local government, I like to say there's no hiding, right? You get to see folks that you represent every single day. You make a decision, you're going to run into somebody in the coffee shop or on the sidelines of a youth soccer match. And, you know, I think that tends to make you a better listener. It tends to drive accountability. And frankly, it drives consensus because there's no hiding. There's no running from problems. You've got to work together on that shared vision. And that also means that I'm fond of saying it's nonpartisan, right? There's no Democrat or Republican pothole. It's just a pothole, and it's got to get fixed. And you're relying on the people who you elect into office, those leaders, to take that challenge. And I think I'm so pleased to be here because I think there are folks in Newburyport, particularly the mayor who we work with closely every single day, who bring the value of how do we work together to solve challenges? How do we continue to make Newburyport an amazing city, a great place to live, work, go to school, visit, raise a family? Our job as Lieutenant Governor and governors to make sure you have the tools to do that. So pleased to be here to showcase that partnership, to highlight the work, the good work that's going on, and please know that you have allies and partners that want to work with you to keep it going. Congratulations, Newburyport. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. Next, I am to introduce Council President Ed Cameron. I've known Ed for many years. Certainly many of you have also. And we've been fortunate to have him on the council for many years. He's our newly elected council president, acting like he's done it for decades. Not many people know this, but Ed can sing and play an accomplished guitar. But he's not today. He's going to speak to us. And now that I haven't upset him more than I'm going to let him speak.
Thank you, Rich. As Rich said, I'd been on the council for a number of years, and I took a 4-year break. And at the end of my first chapter, Rich presented me with one of his famous bow ties, which I thought of wearing tonight just to embarrass you, but I won't do that. I'm really honored to be here tonight to introduce the mayor. I've worked with 3 mayors in my time on the city council, Mayors Moak, Mayors Holliday, and now Mayor Reardon. It is not an easy job, and it really is all about us coming together as a community in good times and bad, and the best representation of a city or a town or any community. It's not our buildings, it's not our streets, it's not our parks, even though they're wonderful. It's not our beaches. It's our people. And everybody here is really a part of making Newburyport a wonderful place to live. I want to thank my city council colleagues for being here tonight, as well as the school committee, and the lieutenant governor and our state partners, our county partners, our federal partners as well. And I have to say to the lieutenant governor, for somebody who's worked with and for homeless people for many years, in addition to being a city councilor, for the last 15 years, and I took a few lumps on the ZBA. Thank you and the administration for focusing on housing because it really is an important issue for all of us. Wherever you're at in the income spectrum, it is a difficult state to live in price-wise, so thank you for that. And you did mention amortization schedules. We have a few counselors who'd like to talk to you afterwards about those sort of things because we do take that very seriously. So besides the City Council and the School Committee, I also want to thank our boards and commissions. I know there are many members here. I'm not going to mention them by name, but they know who they are. So everything that happens from the elected side and the appointed staff from the city, the boards and commissions really are the place where that civic input gets put into practice and policy and implementation. So thank you all for being here as well tonight. So I first met now Mayor Sean Reardon in 2008. He was on the Parks Commission. I thought, and I was a new city councilor, I thought he looked like he was about 18 years old, and now he looks like he's about 19 years old. So he has aged well. And he really impressed me on the Parks Commission. There was an issue that I shall not mention that was a bit contentious, and I really appreciated him taking a stand in consultation with the Parks Commission on something that was a bit of a thorny local issue. Sean and I were friendly from then on. I probably shouldn't mention this, but I think it speaks to his character. He did run for city council, and he lost. And he did not take his marbles and go home. He stayed involved. He got on the school committee, did a good job there, and then he threw his hat in for mayor. And working with the mayors, and I know Mayor Holliday's here, when you're up close to what they have to go through, it is a very difficult job. It is 24/7, and I really appreciate what Mayor Reardon brings. I would characterize it as pleasant persistence. When things go his way, the administration's way, does not gloat. When things don't go his way, he doesn't pout. He tries to get things done. And as many of you know, the city council is its own entity. We have our own views. Sometimes we have 11 different views. School committee, the same. It is a bit like herding cats, and there can be tensions from time to time, but I really appreciate how this mayor sticks to his focus and the things that he wants to accomplish. So with his leadership, and I think the rest of us is part of it, yes, we will have tough times from time to time, but I think the state of our city, as the mayor will tell us, is in good hands, and please join me in welcoming Mayor Sean Reardon.
Thank you. Go ahead, sit down. Thank you so much. All right, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Auditor DiZoglio, Governor's Council Member Duff, Senator Tarr, Representative Shand, District Attorney Tucker, Sheriff Coppinger, Mayor Gove, Council President Cameron, City Councilors, school committee members, city staff, both down here and up in the balcony. Thanks for coming tonight. Jesse, Sadie, Ruby, Ollie, community members, friends, neighbors, and the rest of my family over here too in the corner. Thank you for joining us and attending and giving me this opportunity to deliver my second State of the City address. It's an honor of a lifetime to serve as your mayor of the great city of Newburyport, and it feels good to be back here with all of you to discuss the last year and the year ahead. I am particularly excited to have you all here tonight for the second annual Public and Community Service Awards, which definitely was a highlight last year. Now they're going to follow this speech, so there's your incentive not to walk out early, okay? Now last year I opened my address talking about just how much I had learned over the course of my first year. I should have foreseen that the learning would keep going. In fact, I learned something extremely valuable that night. People will really appreciate a short speech. So this year I plan to be a little bit briefer in telling you where our city stands now, what kind of future we hope to achieve, and how we can use this next year to get there. While doing so, I want to talk about a few specific days, 5 to be exact, which I think are important to reflect on and learn from moving forward. One day wasn't so long ago, January 23rd of this year. If that date sounds familiar to you, you probably remember me saying it about 1,000 times over the past 3 months. For those of you who came here tonight expecting me not to speak about Whittier, I promise I won't take too long. This was, of course, the date of the district-wide vote on the new Whittier School Building project. Now, while I believe a no-vote outcome was the right one, I have said all along that there were no winners here. And I want to make sure that Whittier students do not feel like they have lost their chance at having superb school facilities they deserve. Now, the issue of Whittier is not resolved, and I am committed to keeping the community updated on what's next. I am working closely with the other communities to create a Whittier School Task Force that will bring together leaders from each municipality to assess options moving forward. The Whittier's district agreement has not been updated materially since 1967. And this is an excellent opportunity to consider changes to this agreement that would benefit every municipality. We want the district to consider changes to the capital funding formula, which would have left some communities with disproportionately higher payments for the new school building compared to the number of students they had attending the school. These will be difficult conversations, but I am optimistic about our ability to work together on this. Collaboration is how difficult things get done. I also want to talk about how proud I was of the turnout for the Whittier special election. Now, while I had many concerns about the project itself, especially the financing, one of my biggest concerns going into January 23rd was that not enough residents across the district knew about the vote and wouldn't cast a ballot either way. We ended up with 33% turnout in Newburyport, unheard of in a half-day special election in January. This speaks to many things. The interest so many citizens had in the election, the persistent coverage by local media, our ability to reach residents through the many channels that we have built. Most importantly, I think it shows that Newburyport takes local issues really seriously. And I am proud that we were one of the municipalities to have the highest turnout that day. We still have obligations to Whittier, and we have to determine how to best balance the needs of the capital repairs for Whittier with other local projects. You'll hear more about this as I discuss priorities for the year and when the FY25 budget is rolled out in May. Now, speaking of our projects, the next day I want to revisit is August 9th, 2023, a hot, sunny day on our beautiful waterfront. That day we met in a fenced-in area by the river with a number of shovels in hand for a ceremonial groundbreaking of Market Landing Park. It was such a joy to celebrate the kickoff of this project with so many people who had helped make it happen, including city councilors, the Waterfront Trust, and members of the Committee for Open Waterfront. Now, 2 weeks later, we had another ceremonial groundbreaking for the Cutter Fire Station. We were joined by members of the Cutter family, and I believe just about every firefighter in the city, to honor the start of the construction for the West End Fire Station. These two groundbreakings were excellent formal celebrations that reinforced just how much work took place around the city over the past year and how much progress we had made on these long-awaited projects. Now, as I stated last year, one of my main goals this year was to make meaningful progress on our large projects that have been planned for so long. The new Cutter Fire Station at 153 Story Ave will serve the west end of Newburyport and replace the 1970s facility that my grandfather helped build that was no longer adequate and unfortunately posing health risks for our firefighters. The fire station will be the city's first public net zero building with a solar power system producing as much renewable energy as the facility will consume. Construction of the new 6,600 square foot facility is expected to finish later this fall. Now, down by the waterfront, the bulkhead rehabilitation project is stabilizing the old 1977 system that supports the Central Waterfront's boardwalk and the edge of Market Landing Park. The project is installing new sheet piles in front of the old seawall and filling with concrete, elevating the concrete cap in anticipation of sea level rise, and strengthening the system itself with construction expected to finish by summer 2024. Now, to take you back to Market Landing Park for a moment, we are on track to complete the project by the end of May, just in time to be enjoyed by residents and visitors alike during the peak summer season. The expansion adds new park wings, a key bike path connection, and more diverse opportunities for waterfront festivities, socializing, and relaxation, all with an expansive view of the Merrimack River. The park construction underway now is the result of tireless work by advocates, city staff, and others dedicated to the idea of building a park that can be enjoyed by the Newburyport community in perpetuity. The Tickham Street parking garage was built to replace the former riverfront parking, and we believe that the realized park will be worth the initial challenges we faced. We cannot wait to see these projects officially finished and hold ribbon cuttings across the city to allow the public to benefit from these great projects. Now, another day I want to mention was a tragic one. In the early hours of May 4th, I woke up to my phone ringing with one of those calls a mayor never wants to get. The city suffered a tragedy that day with the explosion occurring at the Sequence PCI plant in the industrial park, leading to the death of one worker, Jack O'Keefe of Methuen. Now, I am grateful to all the work our first responders and mutual aid partners who handled this situation. Newburyport Fire Department was particularly impressive in their work battling the fire and then managing the aftermath. I am grateful to all the local, state, and federal partners who have participated in assisting and following up on this situation. Our health and building departments, together with public safety leaders, managed the removal of volatile substances and helped us avoid further damages. Now, moving forward, safety will remain a priority in assessing what will be done with this space. This was a hard day for the city, and we continue to think about all those who were impacted that day. Now, one of the many things people might not know about that day is that that was the very day I was planning on informing then Deputy Chief Steve Bradbury that I was naming him our new fire chief. Now, Chief Bradbury didn't need to prove himself with the handling of this situation, but he performed admirably and showed just how lucky we were to have him as our next chief for the Newburyport Fire Department, and he serves there today. Now, one of my favorite parts of this speech is getting to bring attention to some of the amazing people that we've been able to bring to the city over the last year, and our wonderful HR department has a big part in that. Now, Chief Bradbury is one of 4 new department heads that we brought on. We also welcomed Department of Public Services Director Wayne Amaral, who is playing an invaluable role in improving our operations and responses on constituent issues at DPS. I wasn't done, Wayne, but you're already getting half high. That's good. Now, Wayne previously served as our deputy director and as the DPW director in West Newbury. He oversees 4 divisions at DPS with great ability, and we are fortunate to have him back. This year, we were also lucky to welcome a new director on the Council of Aging, Sarah Landry. Sarah brings over 20 years of experience managing Council of Aging and is dedicated to ensuring the Senior Community Center is here to serve all residents of Newburyport. The center will be focused on programming that will help form greater connections for our seniors, and they are starting new programming, including weekly live music lunches this summer. I hope to see you there. This year, we also welcome the new head librarian, Kevin Bork, who joins us directly from Boxford Town Library. Among his many other responsibilities, Kevin has been leading a strategic planning process to develop a new plan that will chart the library's course for the next 4 years. Now, this plan will guide the library as it decides what services, programs, and resources to provide in its role as the information hub of our community. I also want to add that there have been many discussions this year about our archival center and volunteer programs. Now, we have been working with Kevin on ensuring that archives continue to serve as a resource for the community, and we have a volunteer policy that allows the community to get involved with their library. We encourage all community members who want to help with our library to get in touch with the Friends of the Newburyport Public Library, who help sustain the NPL through their work. Thank you to all our library staff and supporters who make the Newburyport Library a staple in this community. Now, financially, the city is in a strong position. We have maintained the city's long-term credit rating of AAA, a testament to our commitment to financial responsibility and stability. We're able to grow the city's stabilization fund balance, better known as our rainy day account, to $4.5 million, which is 5.5% of the budget revenue for the fiscal year 2024. Now, new growth was certified over $220,000 higher than estimated, and we were able to use those funds to reduce our tax rate. And our finance department performed a comprehensive update of the city's financial policies, including the creation of new, more transparent policies with respect to management of grants, gifts, and donations. We will be exploring adopting new local option tax relief exemptions signed into law by Governor Healey's tax relief bill that was passed this past October. We will also be advocating for the passage of the Municipal Empowerment Act, which I was at State House yesterday testifying for, which will offer additional local tools, as the LG mentioned earlier, for tax relief and raising revenue. Our public safety departments are close to fully staffed, and our police department maintained its accreditation this year, thanks to the incredible work of Marshal Mark Murray and the whole NPD. It was another busy summer for our Harbor Master Paul Hogg and his team, despite the rainy weekends. And our inspectional services departments continue to do their important work, ensuring area establishments are safe and healthy. So that's a brief recap of what happened this past year. To quote my favorite fictional president, Jed Bartlett, what's next? My strategic plan for the city has 4 pillars that serve as the foundation of my priorities in office. They are to secure and invest in our city infrastructure, provide high-quality services, guide the future development of the city, and lead in building a collaborative and engaged community. I've already discussed many of our infrastructure priorities. I also want to add that we were able to pave 31 streets, which is over 4 miles in the first 2 years of our city streets and sidewalks plan. The plan has been updated, and everyone can view it on our city website and see where your street falls. I am grateful for the City Council for agreeing to bond $6 million over the next 5 years to pay for this work. I'll be asking for the Council to add more funding to this year's operating budget for sidewalk repairs in an effort to build an annual allocation that will allow us to manage our streets and sidewalks and make this city more walkable and safe. This year, we must also continue our efforts on resiliency when we discuss updating our infrastructure. 6 weeks ago, on January 13th, the city was hit by a surprise storm that brought some of the highest floods and high waters that we've seen in the last decade. We have many residents who are still feeling the after effects of this storm, and this brings our efforts towards resiliency and mitigating the effects of climate change to the forefront. We have a comprehensive plan on how to approach the effects of climate change and more frequent severe weather. And I am grateful to the staff and volunteers who worked to complete this plan. There is no singular solution, and we need an all-government approach to climate change. The city was awarded a $200,000 grant from the State Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, MVP, this past fall to cultivate connections, communities, and a city resiliency plan. The program includes implementing large-scale community conversations around resiliency, as well as citywide communication strategies around resiliency planning, all of which should help us move us forward this year. Now, one of our great priorities is to lead the efforts to clean the Merrimack River. I have worked regionally through this as my role on the Merrimack River Collaborative and have brought area stakeholders to the table. Through our state delegation, we have seen new legislation filed that will help with these efforts. And the state is doing more to hold upriver communities accountable to reduce combined sewage overflow events. Now, we must continue to drive sustainability projects and infrastructure security locally, particularly following a breach in the Lower Artichoke Dam during the recent floods. Immediate action was taken by our water division, averting harm to the city's main water supply, demonstrating the system's resilience. Now, despite this success, we need to prioritize ongoing measures, including large-scale projects like strengthening the dam, securing our reservoirs, and directly connecting our largest reservoir, which is Indian Hill, to our main pumping station to enhance resiliency against these extreme weather events. Now, proposed upgrades to the water treatment plant aim to improve taste, odor, and overall water quality, addressing concerns of potential future floods, algae blooms, and contaminants like PFAS in the water system. Now, our water is one of the most important services we provide, and we will need to ensure it's protected for the years to come. We are continuing to battle erosion on Plum Island, and it's no way a fair fight. We scored a major victory this year with the completion of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dredge of the Newburyport Federal Navigation Channel, and yet the progress is already starting to reverse with recent storms. We know that more is needed to preserve our beaches and properties on Plum Island, starting with more frequent dredges, and continued by action by the Corps to fix their jetty that has accelerated this erosion. We have no time to waste on these resiliency-focused initiatives, and we must continue to make progress this year. My second pillar is high-quality city services. Now, in order to fully invest in our future of this city, we need to make sure we're investing in our kids. As mayor, I serve as chair of the school committee and get to weigh in on policies our schools are implementing. I'm also a parent of 3 pretty great kids at Newburyport Public Schools, which gives me even more insight on the role of our schools. Now, my priority is to make sure all students at NPS are receiving the attention they need. and I will especially be attentive to the work of our special education services. I look forward to working with our Superintendent Gallagher to make the schools have the resources they need to provide a world-class education for our kids. We know that investing in our kids means also supporting them outside the classroom. And I'm very proud of programming for the young people that we provide here in the city, which is led the work by the newly named Newburyport Recreation and Youth Services. Now this year, this department took on a new name to reflect its absorption of the recreational programming previously that had been placed in the Parks Department. Now Newburyport Recreation and Youth Services provides recreational opportunities for Newburyporters of all ages and provides enrichment opportunities and services for youth and families. If you're used to NYS, you can still find all the great services at NRYS. The name just isn't as catchy. We've been calling it Port Rec, which I think works just fine, and for some natives in the room might bring back some old memories. Much more than a catchy name, though, this department needs space. Port Rec offers programming all summer for kids who are out of school, and a drop-in center aimed for middle schoolers throughout the school year. They want to run more activities for our community members and offer support for families and youth in open and welcoming spaces. They also need reasonable office space for their staff, but most of all, they need a gym for recreational activities for youth and community members of all ages. No such space exists in the city right now after extensive searching, and the loss of the Brown School space 2.5 years ago has left this program without a home. Now last year I named finding a new home for this department as my #1 priority, and that is still the case today. We have a plan that I believe will provide a proper home for recreation and youth services at a reasonable cost. We are working to further develop this plan and gain community support and approval by the City Council. The Council's Community Services Committee will review our current design next week, March 4th. There will be time to adjust the design to better meet community needs and priorities, and we look forward for hearing from everyone. This has been a very long process, and we have worked hard to gain input at every step, and I'm looking for support in getting it approved this year. Now, I also want us to make serious progress this year on finding the best use of the Brown School building. Last year, we moved forward with a request for information to gain insights on what developers thought they could potentially do with this space. Now, this year, my plan is to release a request for proposals using the information that we gained. I will prioritize a proposal that creates new affordable housing for the city at a scale that's compatible with the current neighborhood. I also believe that the gym on site is a valuable community asset that can be preserved and kept for community use. Now, unless improved is impossible, I am looking to find ways to redevelop the site while keeping the gym. I look forward to working with the City Council on this project and arriving at a workable plan this year. Now, another pillar of my strategic plan is to guide the future development of the city, which is a big reason why I wanted Lieutenant Governor here tonight. We were very lucky to hear from her. I know she lives and breathes issues around housing and development. She has articulated many of the problems we are facing well, and I thank her and the Healy administration for their work in providing the new tools to face these issues head on. Now, a fourth day I'd like to recall from last year is November 16th, when over 50 people joined us at the Senior Community Center on a Thursday night to talk about the future of housing in our city. This was no ordinary public meeting, and the high attendance and passionate participation make it worth discussing here now. We have a housing crisis, not only here in Greater Boston area, but across the Commonwealth. We find ourselves in a position where home costs are rising rapidly, and many long-term community members can't afford to stay here. And people who would love to live here can't afford it either. We won't be able to completely build our way out of this situation, but that's not a good enough reason to avoid building new housing. We need more places for families, more places for seniors, and more places for empty nesters to downsize and stay in the community, and also a lot more affordable housing. We need more housing of all types. Now, the public meeting I discussed above was a crucial step in the creation of our city's housing production plan, a document that is updated every 5 years and submitted to the state to show our plans for adding new housing to the city. This plan is nearly complete and will feature a number of strategies for achieving our housing goals. Chief among these is making progress on a number of vacant sites, whether they are owned publicly or privately. The Brown School has already been mentioned, and we are working closely with the state to open up opportunities at the current park and ride, so that housing could potentially be added alongside its role as a transportation hub, which we would like to see renewed. Senator Tarr and I are still working on it. This will be a difficult project, as there are many state and federal regulations we will have to navigate. But with a partner like the Lieutenant Governor, we believe we've got a chance to make this a reality. We will also be prioritizing the Waterfront West area, which is owned by New England Development. Now, I've been working closely with a group of city stakeholders to determine our priorities for any potential development. We've been working on this for the last couple of years, and have used these conversations as the foundation of our negotiations with NED. When we get close to a mutually beneficial outcome, we will engage the public in a public process to view the proposed change of the design and development plans. Now, any approved development will require a zoning change, and we will require a detailed development agreement. The process has been underway since about 2008, but we are willing to take our time to arrive at the right plan. The Housing Production Plan will also discuss updating our zoning to accommodate more housing in certain neighborhoods and encourage sustainable growth. In part to align with the state's MBTA communities law, we will look to build on the success of the Smart Growth District we have here in Newburyport by the MBTA station, looking to expand this district, giving us opportunities to create another village center there and along Story Avenue. It will be essential to involve the community in these conversations, and we'll be sure to add more opportunities for meetings like our housing forum. Last, I spoke about a year ago about my goal about making the city more accessible, which aligns with my strategic goal of engaging more people in the city. We have made a number of successes around this front, as we have continued to bring more new residents onto boards and commissions and other volunteer opportunities. Now, while we celebrate new members, I want to thank all of our dedicated, long-serving board and commission members who have decided to move on from serving this year in the city in this capacity. Let's give them a hand. Now, a key piece in making our city more accessible to all residents is advancing the work on diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the coming months, we will complete an action plan for our work in DEI, which comes at the end of a long process, including an initial assessment, focus groups, staff trainings, and dialogues aimed at making city government more diverse and inclusive. We are continuing to hold public-facing events that promote DEI, including our celebrations around Juneteenth and Indigenous Peoples Day. I appreciate all the staff effort that has gone into this work and for the community to supporting this important initiative. We have a number of other initiatives to engage more residents that will continue this year. We are polling residents on important issues using the Flash Vote platform. We have a new public art committee that will formalize our process for prioritizing places for public art and choosing new pieces to enhance the city's appearance. As part of my task force on mental health, we have conducted a community-wide needs analysis, and we will use this as a foundation for new initiatives around mental health. As part of a City Hall working group on resident services, we will be rolling out new improvements to enhance communication with residents, offer more translated materials, and streamline processes for certain permits to make them easier for applicants. We also have built 2 new universally accessible playgrounds at Lower Atkinson Common and the Bartlett Mall. We have paused the overall plans to restore the Bartlett Mall Frog Pond, but while we look for more funding. But we are still committed to the vision of returning the city's original town common to its former significance while meeting the current needs of the community with inclusive features like the playground. In conclusion, I want to take us back to one more day. We have had so much to celebrate this year and so many beautiful days here in our great city that it was hard to choose just one to highlight. We had another amazing Yankee homecoming run by dedicated volunteers year after year. We had a meaningful celebration on Earth Day, which is my birthday too, which raised awareness of how residents can make a difference. We had the tremendous honor of hosting the Nio Trinidad tall ship, thanks to the hard work of the Custom House Maritime Museum and others who brought the ship here for an unforgettable July 4th weekend. These events, and so many more to speak of, speak to the kind of vibrant, historic, and welcoming city we want to be. I want to close by taking you back to June 2nd of last year. On a beautiful day in June, on the steps of City Hall, we gathered to honor Pride Month here in Newburyport with a flag raising for the ages, complete with a moving speech by Governor Maura Healey, the state's first elected woman and openly gay governor. This event was only possible because of the efforts of a new group here in the city, the Pride Board, organized by a number of volunteers who wanted to see the city offer more events and outreach to the LGBTQ+ community during Pride Month, but also throughout the year. Now, a crowd of hundreds gathered on hand to hear reflections, music, and a proclamation offered, and then watched as we raised the progress flag. Governor Healey's remarks that day were important and timely, and it was an incredible honor to have her here to join us. It was a celebration of this city's commitment to equity and of the individual's right to be their full selves and love whoever they want. The city showed its inclusive and welcoming spirit and showed how individuals can make a difference and bring out the best in our city. Pride Month could not have started any better, and it was a truly beautiful day in Newburyport. We have challenges ahead of us this next year, and we have much that we need to accomplish together. Days like June 2nd show that the city and the state of the city is very, very strong, and we will work together to bring out the best in the city each and every day and make this city the strongest it can be. Thank you all for listening to my brief speech and for all you do in this great community. Thank you, thank you. All right, now the fun stuff. So before I get to the second annual Public and Community Service Awards, I did just want to say these nights aren't easy to put together. So I wanted to thank Christine Jackson for all she does in the city. Andrew Levine, Kim Turner on my staff. Andrew, wonderful speech. DPS for all what they do, setting up and everything else. And again, thank you, everybody. So we came up with these awards last year, and during the campaign, service to the community became a real theme that kind of drove a lot of the things that we were talking about. And we looked for ways throughout the campaign to celebrate service and be part of service events here in the city. So when I became mayor and was thinking about doing, once we got our feet wet a little bit in our first year, once we started talking about what that first state of the city was going to look like, we thought, making it about you, the people, is what really makes a lot of sense, because as Council President Ed Cameron said earlier, it is the people. I always like to quote Woody Hayes, legendary Ohio State football coach, before he hit the player from Clemson. He used to say, "You win with people," and I know that's very true here in Newburyport. We have a fabulous group tonight that we're going to honor with our second annual Public and Community Service Awards, and so let's get to it. All right. Yeah, you can clap. Go ahead. Let's get a chance to get a drink. So I did something a little bit different this year. So we had over 50 different people get nominated for these awards. And just to explain, some people who maybe weren't here last year who don't know about them, we're honoring community service here tonight. We're honoring public service. So we have 4 categories of awards that we'll be giving out. First is the Business Service Award. So this looks to honor businesses that just try to contribute to the community and always is willing to help out whatever the cause is. We have Individual Community Service Awards, and this is just people, again, this is how I started, being on the Parks Commission and just, again, I'm from here too. I'm a 5th generation reporter. I wanted to get involved in my community, but, these individual awards are just people who are just doing really great work throughout the city each and every day. And then we have the Public Service Award because, as was also mentioned tonight by our great Lieutenant Governor, public service isn't easy. And people, and I know these wonderful people I get to work with every day, show up and do the work each and every day. And then we also have volunteers that do our city business and our boards and commissions each and every day. So I thought, it'd be a great opportunity to honor them as well. And the final category is a Youth Community Service Award. And we've got some great people that we're gonna recognize tonight. Now, the surprise is for people who think they're finalists tonight, you are actually the award recipients tonight. So let's give you a hand first. And I did that differently this year because, although it was great, we had so many different people get nominated, but the people that I'm recognizing tonight, one, it's just an incredible group that I thought absolutely deserved to get recognized, but so many people put in multiple nominations for this crew. So that's why I decided to single all these people out tonight. So let's get to it. So the first category we're going to do is the Business Service Award. And tonight we are honoring the Screening Room, Becca and Ben Fundus. Now, Ben and Becca Fundus bought the screening room when its founding owner's illness made its future uncertain. They took ownership just prior to COVID-19 pandemic. Now, from the beginning, tough time to buy a movie theater, right before the pandemic. From the beginning, they preserved the homey local atmosphere of the theater, including Andrew Mungo's voice for the preliminary on-screen announcements. They have maintained the founder's ad-free screening policy and honored pre-sold tickets of the early era. They have kept a continuous flow of current films with a mix of blockbusters, foreign and independent films, and openness, especially for local filmmakers, directors, producers, and actors. They expanded showing times, making the screening room even more accessible and welcoming to both locals and tourists. Most notably, they have been open to collaborating with many local organizations and projects for expanding public information or for fundraising. They have helped organizations including the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center, Storm Surge, PEG Center for Art and Activism, Merrimack Valley Feline Rescue Society and Rescue Inc., and the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. Please help me by recognizing the screening room, Becca and Ben Fundus. All right. Now we're going to move on to the individual community service awards. And the first one is Nicole DeRosa. For the past 3 years, Nicole has been a dedicated coach and mentor in teaching the skills of field hockey to Newburyport middle schoolers. Last year, under her guidance, the Newburyport middle school team had a very successful season, finishing at the top of the Cape Ann League Middle School Field Hockey League. This year, Nicole will be extending the program to involve students in grades 1 to 5. In addition to serving as a coach, Nicole also coordinates off-season training, participation in tournaments, and provides guidance to the athletes and their families. And, being involved in sports my whole life, you know if you're successful at the high school level, it's because you've got a great youth program. And I saw that with my dad, who's here tonight with basketball. But field hockey this past fall made it to the state championship game for Division III, and we know that's because of all the hard work that they're doing down at the middle school. So please help me recognize a good friend of mine, Nicole DeRosa. All right, next, Paula Etsy. Starting in 2017, Paula transformed her gallery into a space committed to community service, civic engagement, and activism. This year marks the 7th anniversary of the Women in Action Huddle of Newburyport, where Paula is the founder. Paula and the Huddle were instrumental in the creation of the Clipper City Rail Trail, and their investments helped make the Edible Gardens and the Uvalde Remembrance Garden a reality. On top of many tangible ways the Huddle and Paula help the community, Paula consistently finds ways to make the community kinder and more aware of the world, and more engaged in creating a diverse and equitable and inclusive city. Please welcome Paula. Next up, Jim McCarthy. Now, who here knows Jim McCarthy? You could not think of a better person to get this award for someone who, day in and day out, is giving back to the great city of Newburyport. Jim works tirelessly beautifying Newburyport, Jim regularly assists the Parks Commission and the Department of Public Services by digging holes, planting trees, and watering them in parks and streets. Jim generously donates money annually to pay for trees across the city. He is currently helping repair downtown light poles and keeping them free of litter. Jim started Newburyport Plogging and spends many hours a day picking up trash around the city. The city's not that dirty, right? We're doing an okay job, right? Okay. Jim is also an active Rotarian and annually cleans the Route 1 Rotary and plants flowers. He is the model citizen, and Newburyport owes him a great praise for the hundreds of hours he spends making Newburyport more beautiful. Jim McCarthy. And you'll see Jim out tomorrow cleaning up somewhere. He loves signs, so if you want to find a way to honor Jim, he loves signs all over the city. So no, that's a joke. All right, next up we're going to the Public Service Award. First one up, Steve Bergholm. Steve Bergholm works as the Director of Facilities for Newburyport Public Schools. His diligence in maintaining and upgrading our school facilities as needed has left our schools in very good condition. He has also been a master at capital planning and is leaving the city with a well-maintained buildings, as well as the plans in place for the future projects and maintenance. Steve has helped the city save thousands of kilowatts in gas therms, in addition to hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout his many years in this role. He has also been integral in helping Newburyport maintain its green community status and being recognized as a leading by example community in the state. Steve is retiring this year, which I still am coming to grips with, but he'll be leaving some pretty big shoes to fill. Steve Bergholm. Next up, Tara McGregor. Tara works in the Newburyport Recreation and Youth Services Department and was the driving force behind the creation of Newburyport Pride in 2023. With the support of the city and the DEI Commission, local businesses and nonprofits, and a team of board members and volunteers, the event was an overwhelming success. Newburyport Pride not only highlighted the city's commitment to its queer community, particularly supporting queer youth, but was inclusive of all residents, allies, supporters, and the surrounding communities. Tara's efforts made a profound difference as the first queer-led, city-endorsed Pride celebration drew hundreds of participants and supporters to a flag raising and parade, which were complemented by other events for community members of all ages, including the second annual Youth Dance. Tara co-led a board made up of Newburyport residents who enthusiastically contributed their time and energy to the endeavor. According to her colleagues, her warmth and dedication helped bind these entities in collaboration, camaraderie, and focus. Tara McGregor. Next up, and last for the Public Service Award, Danny Sinclair. Inspector Sinclair of the Newburyport Police Department is the Program Director for Essex County Outreach, ECO, which is a collaborative effort involving all 34 police departments in the county, the Essex County Sheriff's Department, and social services agencies. The goals of ECO are to assist individuals and families that are experiencing substance abuse disorder, mental health, behavioral needs, and offer harm reduction strategies. Now, under her leadership, the program has connected people in need or services with the various service providers available in the community. And Danny, when I formed my mental health task force, I mean, Danny had to be on it because I know she's doing a lot of this great work already, and she's already brought so much to it. Please welcome Danny Sinclair. Last but not least, the Youth Community Service Award. Isla and Jackson DeVivo, sorry. Brother-sister duo. First of all, did the hockey team win tonight? 3-1? 2-1. All right, I'll get to that in a second. Now, Isla and Jackson last year started Mission Socks, which was a very cool endeavor. They recognized a critical need for socks in homeless communities in the region and wanted to do something that they would truly make a difference. Using social media and word of mouth, they asked community members to donate socks, correlating its launch with the Red Sox home opener last year. They had an overwhelming response with over 1,500 pairs of socks donated to Sox boxes during the first sock drive last spring, all over the city. They hope to continue their efforts for years to come. Big thank you to Mission Socks. Jackson's also the leading scorer for the hockey team that plays Gloucester next, I think. Get ready for that. Please welcome the DeVivos. That's it. Thank you again for coming out tonight, everybody. I know it was, kind of a somber start to this. Again, keep the thoughts and prayers of the victim outside. We'll hope for the best. Also, thank you to Clerk Jones, as always, for emceeing with the best of them. Thank you to our Lieutenant Governor and all my wonderful partners I get to work with each and every day. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you to our award winners. We'll see you next year. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much.